Hello, Jim. I'm a customer with solar, and my big complaint is the people that say we're taking advantage is that in the month of May, my total electricity usage amounted to 72 cents. My bill, not including taxes, was $20.78. I think that, billing, APS billing for having an account for giving you a meter, for reading the meter, for sending you a bill is outrageous. And I wouldn't object to spending a flat fee for the fact that I use their equipment. But all these little penny ante things I find irksome, and I just wish that all the other customers who think that we're taking a free ride on their coattails would know this. And the other thing is I find that you, by listening to your conference, you're very well-versed and knowledgeable on this subject, and I am a dyed-in-the-wood Republican, and I'm considering voting for you. I can't imagine why you're a Democrat, but that beside the question. The other thing that I wanted to ask, and I thought we would have a longer question series, was what is the function and who owns and what is the solar farm out west of Gila Bend on Interstate 8 all about? If you would like to answer that question or reply to any of the questions or remarks that I've made, my email is C as in Charles, M as in Mary, P as in Peter, 15061 at gmail.com. So I would love to hear from you. I realize that you're probably going to get hundreds of emails and voicemails to take care of, so I'll be willing to wait until you get time. And thank you very much. I enjoyed listening to you.
Sure. So for me, the issue that is of most importance to me is making sure that we are representing all of Arizona. I have someone who has spent my career trying to make sure we are implementing good policy and looking to the future and involving everybody in that. And I'm highly pained to see the divisiveness that we now have in our political system, where we have different political parties. Sometimes it seems at war with each other, and I'm running because I want to represent you. I believe that if more individuals who are not so highly partisan but are trying to find the best future for Arizona, folks like myself who are willing to work with anyone, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with me, that's what we bring in. That's what will make a difference for Arizona. So that's probably what drives me the most to want to run. But then also, I have spent my whole career working on land and water and energy issues and growth and climate issues. And I believe I have some experience and skills that I have acquired from that time that I am looking forward to being able to use to help shape the future of policy in Arizona. And then I care very passionately about these, and I believe that Arizona has an enormous opportunity to be at the forefront of solar energy. And this isn't just us putting solar panels on our roofs. This is bringing in our 3 universities. This is bringing at the forefront of research and development on solar energy, also on energy and water efficiency and conservation. These are technologies, these are policy issues that if we do them well, not only do we make Arizona a better place and keep our rates affordable, we then can export these to the rest of the world and drive our economy and create good jobs here. Well, thank you. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your evening to join me for an open discussion about the most important issues facing our state and the Arizona Corporation Commission. So whether your utility rates go up, whether or not we benefit from our tremendous solar energy potential, and whether we ensure enough water for our future, these are among the kinds of issues that are decided by the Arizona Corporation Commission that will impact you and will impact our state's future. And that is why I need your vote on November 4th. So once again, I am Jim Holway, and I am running for the commission. Now, over the next few minutes, I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions, sharing my perspectives, and hopefully earning your vote. I'll just give a brief introduction, and then we'll get right to your questions. So I'm running for the Corporation Commission because we need to move our state forward, and I have the experience, the skills, and commitment to work with all of you to make that happen. I have over 35 years of experience working on some of the most pressing challenges facing your state, and I have received a wide diversity of endorsements, including business groups and newspapers. Recently, the Arizona Republic endorsed me because I rank among the most qualified candidates to ever seek a seat on the commission. But tonight, I'm talking to you because I want to earn your endorsement, and I would like to tell you a bit about my background. I served for a decade as the Assistant Director for the Arizona Department of Water Resources. I was a professor of practice at Arizona State University, and many of you helped elect me in 2010 to the Central Arizona Project Board of Directors. I started my career back in 1980 working on energy policy, and I earned a Ph.D. in land use and water resources planning before moving to Arizona 22 years ago. The Corporation Commission is critical to energy and water policy and economic development in our state. So very briefly, just to get us started, let me mention my views on a few key issues. First, your utility rates. So representing you and ratepayers throughout Arizona and protecting your interests, that's the job of the Corporation Commission, and it will be my top priority. In fact, I was the only member of the CEP board you elected me to, the only member to vote against a recent 67% property tax increase. On energy, I believe Arizona should lead the world on solar energy research, innovation, and development. We have an incredible asset in solar energy, and we need to use it. Water, it's always a critical issue for us, and I will ensure we do not overcommit our available supplies. I will also work hard to promote water and energy efficiency and conservation, because these are nearly always the cheapest and cleanest source of new supplies. So finally, it's in the best interest of the people of Arizona, the ratepayers, and even the utilities to have an independent and respected commission. But Arizona Public Service has recently spent nearly $2 million to buy this election, and that casts a cloud over all future commission actions. And that is why one of my first acts as a newly elected commissioner will be to order all regulated utilities, including APS, to disclose their spending on this campaign. So I'm running to represent you, not the utilities and not any special interests. So now I'd like to get to your issues and questions. And first, just briefly, let us know what issues are most important to you, and then let's get on with your questions. Thank you.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with Jim Holway, your candidate for Arizona Corporation Commissioner. My name is Jordan Bennett, and I'll be the moderator for today's event. We'll begin in just a moment, and we're excited to have you join us today. Before we begin, just a quick point to make. Right now, we're in the process of dialing out to thousands of people, so just stay on the line, and we'll be hearing from Jim Holway shortly. Also, we want to hear from you. If you'd like to ask a question of Jim, please press 0 on your telephone keypad, and you'll be directly connected to one of our volunteer operators. Again, press 0 to ask a question tonight. If you've just joined us, good evening, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with Jim Holway, your candidate for Arizona Corporation Commissioner. I'm Jordan Bennett, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's event. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to begin in just a moment. Right now, we're in the process of dialing out to thousands of people, so just stay on the line, and we'll hear from Jim Holway shortly. If you want to ask a question of Jim, please press 0 at any time during the event. And please press 0 at any time during the event to ask a question, and you'll be directly connected to one of our operators. You can also leave a message for Jim. If you have to leave early for some reason, please press 9, and you can leave a message for Jim during the call. So without further delay, here's your candidate for Arizona Corporation Commissioner, Jim Holway. Jim?
Well, thank you. I appreciate all of you taking time out of your evening to join me for an open discussion about the most important issues facing our state and the Arizona Corporation Commission. So whether your utility rates go up, whether or not we benefit from our tremendous solar energy potential, and whether we ensure enough water for our future, these are among the kinds of issues that are decided by the Arizona Corporation Commission that will impact you and will impact our state's future. And that is why I need your vote on November 4th. So once again, I am Jim Holway, and I am running for the commission. Now, over the next few minutes, I'm looking forward to answering all of your questions, sharing my perspectives, and hopefully earning your vote. I'll just give a brief introduction, and then we'll get right to your questions. So I'm running for the Corporation Commission because we need to move our state forward, and I have the experience, the skills, and commitment to work with all of you to make that happen. I have over 35 years of experience working on some of the most pressing challenges facing your state, and I have received a wide diversity of endorsements, including business groups and newspapers. Recently, the Arizona Republic endorsed me because I rank among the most qualified candidates to ever seek a seat on the commission. But tonight, I'm talking to you because I want to earn your endorsement, and I would like to tell you a bit about my background. I served for a decade as the assistant director for the Arizona Department of Water Resources. I was a professor of practice at Arizona State University, and many of you helped elect me in 2010 to the Central Arizona Project Board of Directors. I started my career back in 1980 working on energy policy, and I earned a Ph.D. in land use and water resources planning before moving to Arizona 22 years ago. The Corporation Commission is critical to energy and water policy and economic development in our state. So very briefly, just to get us started, let me mention my views on a few key issues. First, your utility rates. So representing you and ratepayers throughout Arizona and protecting your interests, that's the job of the Corporation Commission, and it will be my top priority. In fact, I was the only member of the CEP board you elected me to, the only member to vote against a recent 67% property tax increase. On energy, I believe Arizona should lead the world on solar energy research, innovation, and development. We have an incredible asset in solar energy, and we need to use it. Water, it's always a critical issue for us, and I will ensure we do not overcommit our available supplies. I will also work hard to promote water and energy efficiency and conservation, because these are nearly always the cheapest and cleanest source of new supplies. So finally, it's in the best interest of the people of Arizona, the ratepayers, and even the utilities to have an independent and respected commission. But Arizona Public Service has recently spent nearly $2 million to buy this election, and that casts a cloud over all future commission actions. And that is why one of my first acts as a newly elected commissioner will be to order all regulated utilities, including APS, to disclose their spending on this campaign. So I'm running to represent you, not the utilities and not any special interests. So now I'd like to get to your issues and questions. And first, just briefly, let us know what issues are most important to you, and then let's get on with your questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jim. So we want to know what issues are most important to you. So we're going to ask this in two parts so we can know your first priority and what you consider your second priority. So what issue related to the Corporation Commission matters most to you? Press 1 if that's utility rates. Press 2 for energy policy. Press 3 for solar energy. And press 4 for water policy. Or 5 for corporate funding to buy the election. Again, that's 1 for utility rates, 2 for energy policy in general, 3 for solar energy, 4 for water policy, and 5 for corporate funding. Great, and that was to know your top priority. Now we want to know what you consider your second most priority. So that's 1 if it's utility rates, 2 for energy policy, 3 for solar energy, 4 for water policy, and 5 for corporate funding to buy the election. Press the key on your keypad to tell us what you consider the second most relevant policy, most related issues to the Corporate Commission that matters most to you. Again, 1 if it's utility rates, 2 for energy policy, 3 for solar energy, and 4 for water policy. And 5 for corporate funding to buy the election. Great. So with that, we're going to take our first question. Jim, it looks like we have a lot of questions about the role of the Corporation Commission. Can you talk a little bit about this and why it's important for Arizona?
Absolutely. Thank you. So the commission is the body that sets our utility rates. In many other states, they would call it their Public Utilities Commission. But in Arizona, we call it the Corporation Commission. There are 5 commissioners. They're elected. Arizona is one of only about a dozen states that elects its commission. In Arizona, it's also a constitutionally established commission. There's only 7 states where it's constitutionally established. And what that means is this commission is elected by you. It's independent of the governor. It's independent of the legislature. And you're electing 2 commissioners this November, and you will then elect 3 commissioners in 2 years from now, and they stagger the terms to make up the 5 commissioners. So as I said, this is the entity that sets utility rates. So if you get your electric service from pretty much anyone in the state except Salt River Project, because they're a public entity, this is the entity that approves their rates. If you get your water from a private water company, the same. They also set the rates for Southwest Gas and natural gas companies, for CenturyLink, the telephone company, well, that's basically it. Basically, all the rates except for cable TV. All the other rates go through the commission. The other thing that they're critical to is setting energy policy. So, for instance, this is the commission that said that Arizona should receive 15% of its power from renewable supplies by 2025. That's a portfolio standard they required, and that's been highly controversial the last few years. That's one of the things that I'm very interested in making sure we continue to defend and implement. Also, the commission would decide whether a water company can make a line extension agreement, whether they have sufficient supplies. A few other briefly miscellaneous duties of the commission, in addition to these well-known duties, they also oversee railroad and pipeline safety. They regulate the financial securities industry. And if you want to start a new corporation and you have to file an annual report, this is where you go to do that. So that's the sort of totality of the different roles the commission takes on.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jim. So can you tell us a little bit about why you're running and what sets you apart from other candidates?
Sure. So for me, the issue that is of most importance to me is making sure that we are representing all of Arizona. I have someone who has spent my career trying to make sure we are implementing good policy and looking to the future and involving everybody in that. And I'm highly pained to see the divisiveness that we now have in our political system, where we have different political parties. Sometimes it seems at war with each other, and I'm running because I want to represent you. I believe that if more individuals who are not so highly partisan but are trying to find the best future for Arizona, folks like myself who are willing to work with anyone, regardless of whether they agree or disagree with me, that's what we bring in. That's what will make a difference for Arizona. So that's probably what drives me the most to want to run. But then also, I have spent my whole career working on land and water and energy issues and growth and climate issues. And I believe I have some experience and skills that I have acquired from that time that I am looking forward to being able to use to help shape the future of policy in Arizona. And then I care very passionately about these, and I believe that Arizona has an enormous opportunity to be at the forefront of solar energy. And this isn't just us putting solar panels on our roofs. This is bringing in our 3 universities. This is bringing at the forefront of research and development on solar energy, also on energy and water efficiency and conservation. These are technologies, these are policy issues that if we do them well, not only do we make Arizona a better place and keep our rates affordable, we then can export these to the rest of the world and drive our economy and create good jobs here.
Wow, thanks so much, Jim. So with that, we're actually going to share our polls. So the first poll question we asked tonight was, what issue related to the Corporation Commission matters most to you? And it looks like 42% said water policy was a top priority. 42% of you said water policy was the top priority, and 45% of you said utility rates was the second most priority. So again, that was 42% of you said water policy was the top priority, and 45% said utility rates were the second most priority. That's great. So with that, we're actually going to ask our audience another question. So the next question we want to know is, who is your electricity utility? So press 1 for Arizona Public Service. Press 2 for Tucson Electric Power. Press 3 for Salt River Project. Press 4 for one of Arizona's rural electric cooperatives. And press 5 for other. Again, press 1 for Arizona Public Service. Press 2 for Tucson Electric Power or Unisource. Press 3 for Salt River Project. Press 4 for one of Arizona's rural electric cooperatives. And press 5 for other. All right. Thanks so much. So another question we had from one of the people in the audience, Jim, was about tax credits. They wanted to know more about tax credits for in-home energy panels. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And Jordan, I didn't quite get, so it's tax credits, did you say for solar energy, or did you say something else?
For solar in-home energy panels, yeah.
Sure. So basically there is currently a 30% federal tax credit that will be in place until the end of 2016. So, for instance, if you invest in rooftop solar systems and you spend $10,000 to put that system on your roof, you will have a federal tax credit worth a third of that, or basically $3,000. And like I say, at the moment it goes away in 2016. There will be some efforts to try to extend that. So perhaps it doesn't go away right away, but maybe it phases down over time. But currently, it will go away at the end of 2016. And so that is definitely one of the programs that is helping to make solar energy more affordable to the average consumer. And we are seeing a lot of solar being installed, either purchased by Arizonans or leased. And if you lease your system, then the company from which you lease it is able to utilize that tax credit. And one of the great things with solar is, as we've expanded the market, the prices have been rapidly dropping. So I put solar on my roof 6 months ago, and it cost half what it would have cost if I had done it 2 years ago. So as some of the incentives are going away, the prices are also dropping as demand expands, and that's what we're looking to see to build this new industry.
Gotcha. Thanks so much. So next, Jim, we're going to go to Ken. Ken has a question for you. Ken, you're live on the air.
Hi, Jim. I wanted to know what your position on rooftop solar was and what was the big debate about last fall.
Sure. So Ken, what happened in Arizona, and if you were in the Phoenix metro area, it would have been hard to miss the commercials that were paid for by the solar industry and by Arizona Public Service and their colleagues in October and November. About $6 million was spent on advertisements. So the basic issue here is when you put solar panels on your roof and then you make a deal with the utility, so during the day when your solar panels are producing, and they're producing a lot of power in the spring, you are almost undoubtedly producing more power than you're using, and that goes out and serves the rest of the grid. It serves your neighbors. Then either at night when you're not producing, or perhaps in the middle of the summer when your air conditioners are on and you're using more than your solar panels produce, you pull power back off the grid and you benefit from the larger grid. And so the issue before the commission what was called net metering. Basically, your meter spins one way when you're taking power, the other way when you're sending it back, and at the end of the year, you pay the net of that. Or if you produced more than you used, you are given a payment by the utility for the net that you produced. So Arizona Public Service came in, and they said, we believe the rest of the utility customers are subsidizing the solar customers, and we believe that the solar customers should pay $50 to $100 per month in a net metering fee to be part of this deal. The solar industry came in and said, well, that's all wrong. In fact, we spent that money to put it on our roof instead of you building a new power plant. Instead of you having to bring power down from the Four Corners area and lose some of it along the way, you're just shipping it next door. In fact, we believe you owe us more money. The problem I have with this is both entities raised philosophically correct positions, but no one has produced a good economic study, so we really know what these numbers are. The commission could have required those kind of studies. They could have put a decision off until they had a full-blown rate case where you had cross-examination and rigorous evidence. But they went ahead and made their decision, and what they did is they established a fee. They said it'd be 70 cents a kilowatt. That works out for an average system to be $4 or $5 a month. So if you were a solar customer in Arizona Public Service area, after January 1, you were paying a fee of $4 or $5 a month to be able to use this net metering. So that's the basic decision. That's what happened there. What I have argued is we need a solid economic study so we really understand these numbers better, and we should do it in the case of a rate case.
Okay, so as a follow-up, you talk about representing people, not corporations, and you're mentioning APS trying to buy the election. Are you against the utilities?
I appreciate that question because I always like to address this. It is essential for us that our utilities do well, whether we're talking about our electric company or our water company or the phone company. We need investment to come into our state to build new transmission capacity, to build new power plants when they're needed. and we need to continue to maintain the systems we have. As they age, we have to replace the infrastructure. So our utilities need to be able to attract capital from throughout the country to come here and invest, and that's only going to work if they're healthy companies. The last thing we would want to do is drive one of our utilities into insolvency. So the interesting part of the job, what I find fascinating about the job of a corporation commissioner is, look, we're there to represent you and the ratepayer. We allowed utilities to have monopolies for economic and technical reasons, so to make sure they didn't abuse it, we created a commission. So we essentially are there to protect you, but we also have to protect the long-term interests of the state, and protecting you means that you want a viable utility. So our job is to be that balancer. Make sure the utility gets what they need to do their job, but make sure they get no more than that. Make sure they manage themselves well, that they're not paying themselves excessive bonuses, they're making the long-term investments necessary so that we can keep your rates as low as possible. So that's the balancing act that a commissioner needs to be doing.
Okay, thanks.
Great question, Ken. So now we're going to go back to our poll and just share those results from you, just to share with you all what electricity utility most of you have. It looks like 45% of you use the Arizona Public Service. So now we're going to ask another question, and we want to know, can we count on you to help us spread the word about the importance of the election and to support Jim? I mean, we have a lot more time for additional questions, but we're really interested in hearing from you today. Can we count on you to spread the word about the importance of this election and supporting Jim in this election? So press 1 if we can count on you and you'd be willing to volunteer and we would like Jim to contact you. Press 2 if you're not able to volunteer but you'd like to share support of Jim with your friends and neighbors. Press 3 if you're unable to help out but you vote for Jim. Press 4 if you're undecided. Press 5 if you're not supporting Jim. Again, that's press 1 if you're willing to volunteer and would like Jim to contact you. Press 2 if you're not able to volunteer but would you share support of Jim with your friends and neighbors. Press 3 if you're unable to help out or we'll get you a vote for Jim. And press 4 if you're undecided. And 5 if you're not supporting Jim. Great. So with that, please remember to press 0 if you have a question at any time during this event. If you press 0, you'll be connected to one of our operators and they can help you with the question. You can also press 9 at any time to leave a message for Jim. So we're going to go ahead and go to our next question tonight. We have Amanda from Phoenix, Arizona. Amanda, you're live on the air.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for calling.
I'm just wondering about the Arizona Corporations Commission role, their role with water and the drought.
Sure. So the Corporation Commission regulates the private water companies. So many of you are probably getting your water service from one of the cities, whatever city you live in. But about 10 to 15% of Arizonans get their water from a private water company. And in that case, the Corporation Commission has authority over them. And I'll talk a bit more about that. But the other point I will make is clearly Arizona has some significant water challenges we need to face. We've been in a drought for 15 years. Now we've just had a really wet monsoon season, maybe too wet. And it's possible the drought's over. But it's also possible that we just got a brief El Nino break and we're going to be in this drought for a number more years. So those are things we have to prepare for. We also are beginning to see projections that say our available water supply coming in from the Colorado River system and our water supply coming in from the Salt and Verde rivers may well be less in the future because of climate change impacts. So we don't know for sure those are happening, but we do need to begin to be prepared if they do happen. And so the Corporation Commission can partner with the other executive agencies of the governor, our State Department of Water Resources, and our local utilities to make sure we are doing the long-range planning so we know what to anticipate and be ready for it. Now, specific to the authority of the Commission, all water companies in the state are required to do a drought plan, a water conservation plan, and a water availability. Do we have enough future water supply planned? And so those are reviewed by a different state agency, the Department of Water Resources. Actually, I used to be the assistant director there, so I come with an extensive background in water and would bring that to the commission. But what the commission can do is they can make sure the utilities have sufficient resources to be doing those plans well. Many of our private water companies are small, and they have difficulty with viability and being able to take on some of these tasks. And there, I think what the commission can do is we can be working with them and helping them and bringing them together to help them collectively do some of these tasks that it's hard for them to do individually. So those are some of the very specific tasks that we can take on. But the key here is we want to make sure that we are not allocating water that's not reliable. And so a regulatory hammer that the commission has that you want to use as little as possible, but it's important to have it if necessary, is we can refuse to let a water company extend their lines or hook up new customers if they can't show they have a supply to do it. And that's the kind of gap authority that, if necessary, needs to be exercised to make sure we're keeping control of our resources.
Great question. Folks, remember, press 0 on your keypad if you'd like to ask a question tonight. Again, that's press 0 if you'd like to ask a question to Jim. You can also press 9 at any time to leave a message. That's 9 to leave a message and 0 to ask a question. Next, we have Sharon. Sharon, you're live on the air.
Hi. I have a question about the fuss that's being made over new EPA regulations and how that's going to cause our utility rates to skyrocket in Arizona. Now,
Sure,
is this a scare tactic or is this a reality?
Well, it's certainly a challenge and a real issue. I think when we talk about skyrocketing, that there is an effort to create a scare tactic there. There are two main regulations that people are talking about. So one of them is the regulations that have been in place for a while and have been being negotiated, which had to do with regional haze and other particulate-type pollutions created by coal plants. So the one I know the best is the Navajo Generating Station, because I represent you on the Central Arizona Project Board, which is it's a volunteer position, but it's elected in the county-wide. And the Navajo Generating Station, which is the coal plant in Page, Arizona, was actually built specifically to power the Central Arizona Project, the canal that brings our Colorado River water into Central Arizona. And so what these requirements required was for Navajo Generating Station and other coal plants around the country to put more expensive pollution control on for both some public health impacts as well as regional visibility. And the concern was for fairly marginal improvements in visibility, these were some fairly expensive improvements. What happened specifically with Navajo Generating Station was the owners of the plant, which is the federal government and several utilities, as well as the Central Arizona Project, came together with the environmental agency, the Navajo Nation, which is where the plant is, and it's one of their major employers, and two environmental groups, and they came up with a compromise. It was called the Technical Work Group Compromise. And what they agreed was we would actually, within a few years, shut down a third of the plant, and we would, within another 10 years after that, install more advanced and expensive pollution control on the rest of the plant. And in totality, this deal would save a lot of money and achieve the same level of pollution control that the EPA was looking for with more expensive pollution control put in place. So to me, that is the kind of conversations we need to have. We brought together people from diverse interests who did not all agree, and no one really got what they wanted, but they agreed on a compromise that could work for everyone. So in that case, we should not see significant price increases with that deal going into place, and we should not see significant increases in our energy cost to pump water. Now, there's a second EPA regulation that's just been proposed, and this has to do with concerns about climate change and greenhouse gases. And very briefly, this program was going to require an average reduction of 30% of the carbon and greenhouse gas emissions from power plants throughout the country. A concern we have in Arizona is there's a national 30% average, but Arizona is being looked at to make a 52% reduction. And I believe we do need to act. We do need to do something, but I have serious concerns about why Arizona is being expected to do more, and we need to look at that. Apparently, one of the assumptions made is that Arizona has a fair amount of capacity in natural gas plants. And in many cases, we may just turn these plants on for a couple hours a day or even a few minutes a day to meet peak demands. Apparently, the assumption is these plants could be run 24 hours a day, and by running them 24 hours a day, we could turn off our coal plants and therefore reduce that higher emission from coal. That just doesn't really meet the reality how power is produced. So this is an issue that needs more work. But as we try to meet these requirements, it does drive costs up. One of the reasons I'm an advocate for solar energy, and today solar is not cheaper, but as these costs increase, as the price of solar panels continues to decrease, in the long run, I believe solar will be part of the solution to help us keep affordable energy rates. Immediately what we see people doing is moving more to natural gas, which is currently fairly low prices, and they're converting some of these coal plants to natural gas. So that may have been more detailed than folks were looking for, but that's sort of a sketching of the situation. And clearly these will increase our prices, but it's not going to be a doubling or tripling our prices. I think there is both reality and some scare tactic going on in the conversation.
Great. Thanks for that great question, Sharon. Next we have Adrian from Gilbert. Adrian, you're on the air.
Hi, Jim. I'm just wondering about energy and water conservation, and what do you think we should do in Arizona?
Sure. There's a couple of key things to do, and first I'll say that it's energy and water conservation efficiency are critical. I think, as I mentioned in my intro statement, they are often the least expensive and the cleanest source of power. So one of the rules that the Corporation Commission has on the energy side is electric utilities have to achieve a 22% conservation or efficiency improvement by 2025. That is one of the more aggressive programs in the country, and they can do it through getting customers to demand less power by insulating houses, by improving the efficiency of your appliances. We can also get there through use of renewable resources. If you're using solar on your roof, you're demanding less power. There are also things that we can do within the utility systems themselves to make our power plants more efficient. On the water side, it's similar. We can work to reduce leaks at a household level, and also look for leak detection on major transmission lines within our cities. We also can help promote landscape efficiency and lower water using landscapes and more efficient irrigation and watering systems. So these are the kind of specific techniques and technologies we can put in place. And Arizona, this is a place where Arizona has done a good job, but there's always more we can do, and we need to continue to aggressively pursue that. And the Commission has a key role in working to make that happen.
Great, that's awesome, Jim. So Jim, looks like we're almost out of time. Would you like to make some closing remarks?
Sure. Well, first I want to thank everyone for joining me. And as Jordan has said, as we wrap up the call, please, what is it, Jordan? If people want to punch 9 on their phone, or actually if they just stay on the line, they'll get to leave a message, right?
Yep. If they stay on the line after you're finished, they can leave a voicemail for you.
Right. So if you're needing to leave sooner, you can hit 9 and leave a message. But I just have a few quick concluding comments, and then you can stay on the line and leave a message. So again, I very much appreciate everyone listening. I believe this is the kind of conversation we need to be having, to have an open dialogue about water and energy policy in Arizona. And I will continue to reach out to all of you and other citizens throughout the state to do that. So I'll ask you, if you can, please check out my website. It's Holway, HOLWAY, 2014.com. And I've posted quite a bit of information as well as detailed answers to questions that have come up during the election. We've also just initiated a series of conversations on innovative ideas to move our state forward. And so if you go to innovatearizona.com, would love to have you join that conversation and add your thoughts to that as well. And if you go to my Facebook page, which is Holway for Arizona, you also will see a very robust conversation. I am a Democratic candidate, but I have been reaching out to Republicans, Independents, and Democrats throughout the state. And if you go to my Facebook site, you will see a robust conversation with people from multiple perspectives weighing in on these issues we've been talking about. So I ask you to join that as well. And if you like what you're seeing, what I would love you to do is like my Facebook page. But then the key here is then to begin to share that with others. So take posts that you like, share it with your friends, and encourage your friends to share it with their friends. And so that's how we will spread the word about these issues and spread the word about our campaign statewide. For anyone running for the Corporation Commission, we basically will have to get about 800,000 votes to win this election. For me running as a Democrat, that means I need good support from the Democratic Party. It also means I need 100,000 Republicans or more and independents to vote for me. And I'm hoping that my message of multipartisanship and dealing with issues as opposed to just partisan politics will resonate with all of you, and you will support me. I think if you look around, you'll see that by contrast, my opponents have been refusing to even join public forums and debates. So we've been having debates canceled because they won't show up for them. I think they're counting on the investment that our large utility made to get them elected, and I'm hoping you will make a stance with me for maintaining an independent commission and dealing with these issues. So, again, I want to thank you very much for your support and for taking the time out of your busy evenings to listen in, and feel free to contact me and continue this conversation in person or on the line. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight for this call. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to every question, but if you have any additional questions, please stay on the line. You'll be able to leave a voicemail at the end of this event. Again, thank you so much for your time, and have a great night.